Hey guys, welcome back. This is our new shop. It looks like the same as the old shop, and it's been a really long time, to be honest, since I was showing it to you. Okay, hello. I know at the time we were like moving stuff around, and I told you I would show it to you afterwards. Our shop has actually changed a whole lot since the last time that I showed it to you. So I'm gonna bring you through. We thought it'd be really cool for you guys to see the new stuff that we're doing with our team and the stuff with the long mill. It's pretty cold out here right now. You might have just saw my breath, but we're still cooking some Thanksgiving meal for today at lunch. So the whole team's gonna be enjoying that. So come on in and I'll show you inside. So right away, you can probably tell this is a lot different. I mean, we've got the double doors. This area is kind of opened up. There was, some stuff that we had done over here, and now this is a full shipping area. You can see we're like packing machines over here. We're doing, packing stations and cleaning stations over here. And so we're just gonna try to like walk you through everything and show you some of the new people that are on our team. Yeah, so this is where a lot of the long mills actually get packed. This is like the main packing station. We do all of the little accessories that you guys add on to the orders. There's a whole shelf of stuff over here actually, where we pack stuff in. And we kind of put in the add-ons to what we call the variable boxes as we need them, and then pack it up and ship it out from here. We've actually been sending out quite a few long mills nowadays. So these guys have been doing a really good job. They've got their own packing station here for printing labels and stickering things, labeling things, sending stuff out. Moving along over here, this is where Andy and I have had our desks end up. You can probably remember Andy from the last video.
That's like the funniest thing in this office.
Actually, Andy's going to be showing off the 3D printer farm as well as Ron here. And I don't know how to best orient you guys, but I'm sure in the last video you remember we kind of had some like prototyping area back here, and we initially had some packing stations kind of along this line here. If you look this way, the whole wall has kind of opened up and been taken down, and we've extended out to the rest of the building in this direction. So we've got way more square footage for, all the different things that we need to be doing. So yeah, let's go talk about the 3D printing. This is like the exciting part that everyone likes to see. Welcome to the 3D printing farm. This is Ron. He is the main guy that runs everything. Yeah, Ron, just tell us what the people like to know about 3D printers.
So in the 3D printing farm, we have many different printers. We have the Prusias, the Prusia Minis, and we also have our very first printers that we started using, which was the Creality Enders 3s. The Ender 3s, over time, we run them really hard. So when you run them really hard, they kind of wear out over time. So over time, we've kind of had to change over from the Enders to the Prusia Minis, which have been rock solid. No complaints, really. Only odd time is odd repair, and that's about it.
Oh, actually, you can see here some of the pre-programmed stuff we do for auto-ejecting parts into bins. Is it going to push them? Oh, it's going to go back down and scrape the other one off. We've set these all up to be pretty good workhorses for doing in-house production on the part counts that are still like low quantity. You can see as well like dust shoes are being made here because that's a pretty intricate geometry for the Mark II that we still 3D print. I don't know, a lot of the print settings and stuff we've made blog posts about so that people, if they want to be like replicating what we're printing, they can kind of see. As far as like why we chose the printers that we chose, it's kind of choosing the ones that we think will run best in a print environment, and we've kind of like iterated on that over time, I would say. We used to have a lot of Anycubics. Actually, oh yeah, you can see some up there still. Those kind of broke down over time. We got some Enders after that. As Ron said, they're pretty cheap. Those started being hard to maintain. Now we got a lot of Prusia Minis and Mark IIs and stuff like that. Yeah, is there anything else that you think has changed about that print farm since the last time we showed it off?
Yeah, so we have the 3 kilogram spools. Last video,
oh, yeah.
I was trying to remember the name of the guy that we buy the filament from.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, I can't remember why I can't remember his name. Oh, it's Daniel. Daniel. Okay, well, his name is Daniel, so you don't have to wait for me to stutter. But yeah, something The formulation of the filament hasn't really changed, but the size of the filament has changed. So rather than doing like 1 kilogram spools and having to swap them out every, kilogram, they're now all 3 kilograms, so we can do it a third less of the time. Another kind of fun thing is we've made the minis taller for the dust shoes. So if you buy a standard Prusa Mini, you can't print the full height of the dust shoe. But now with the little spacer, you get an extra like 15, 20 millimeters?
It's 15.
Yeah, it's
15,
these little
15
like
millimeters, so-
white guys here.
That just like lets us print just a little bit taller. Yeah, I think they're all over there.
Yeah, we'll show them the bins afterwards, but we print lots and lots of stuff. Also, in case you're wondering, Ron's so good in front of the camera because he has his own channel.
Yeah, what's your
everybody.
channel?
Plug your.
So I guess I'm plugging the channel. The channel is Canadian Maker Project. Hi everybody, welcome back to Canadian Maker Project. What I do there is I talk about 3D printing, how to repair 3D printers, how to operate 3D printers, and any type of prints that are kind of obscure, you may not want to know some tips. That's what I do on that channel.
Yeah, what's wild about it is that before Ron has ever joined our team, at one point he came around and interviewed us when we were at one of the shows showing off the original Mill 1. And then all this time later, we were like looking for a print farm operator, and suddenly it's like, oh, well, he's a good option. So
yeah, I guess I got snug. I guess I got grabbed by these guys. So
yeah, he does a good job doing like the full-time operation of the print farm and all that stuff. So yeah, we'll show you quickly over here like some of the stuff that the print farm puts out.
Hey everyone.
Oh yeah. As you can see, like these are tons of like metal feet, for instance, that we got here. I don't even know how much these bins hold it. Oh,
480.
480. It's written on here. We've gotten a little bit more organized since the last video because we now have like printouts of all the stuff and the labeling and the quantities and stuff like that, and that helps us stay organized with doing the BOM, like changing our stock size as we kind of go through and ship machines. Yeah, the great thing about how we set up the printers is for the most part, they don't have much stringing left over. They don't have any like elephant footing or anything like that. So for the most part, this is kind of like how they come off the machine, and we don't really need to tweak them a whole lot after that. And so they can just be packed right up and shipped out. And you can also see that with the new Mark II design that we don't have as many printed parts left over anymore. To be honest, a lot of the printed parts are now things for the laser or the 48-inch version of the machine, because those kind of have, for instance, like adaptions that we need to older versions of the machine, where the amount of people buying like the adaptions for the older version of the machine is not quite as much. And so printing them off is just like the most economical way to go. Yeah, the cool thing about the printer farm, I would say, as like a summary to it, is just because people always ask, and I think even last time we filmed the video, people asked, why do you guys even have a print farm, or why are you guys printing stuff off? Because you're a big company, so you should just be doing injection molding or some other manufacturing process. And to be honest, well, this is one thing we didn't cover, is the printers we still have around the same that we had in the last video. And we found the reason for that is like the quantity of about 30 to 40 printers is like the upper limit, where if you're finding that parts are taking up 30 to 40 printers in your day-to-day printing process, that means that they've now reached the point where it becomes more cost-effective to manufacture them another way. Whether that be turning them into metal parts, like sheet metal or aluminum milled or injection molded or something else. And so that's the reason why we still have the print farm, because what it does is it enables us to kind of make iterations and have more flexibility when we're coming out with new designs that might be starting off in lower quantities, or as I was pointing out for the parts down here, they're like adaptations to the older Mark I version of the machine, which we know we're going to sell those adaptations maybe like 100 total. And so we can kind of print them off, have them in a bin. When people order them, we can fulfill them. But if we're moving up higher and higher quantities, as we're sort of getting there with the feet, then we can transition that over to something else. So that's what's really cool. It gives us that flexibility. We can tune things. Also with things like the 3D printer, it allows us to make stuff that is really hard to injection mold, like this piece here for the laser assembly, this one part that prints pretty quickly is able to do a whole lot of functions. It actually has the airflow through for the laser, or for the air assist. It holds the shielding in place to protect your eyes from the laser. It's got a slide adjustment for height. It clips onto the heatsink. It does all these different things. So I'm just gonna walk down the line here and just show an outline of all of the new space we have for stations nowadays. We've got a whole like dedicated station for assembling. This is like the T-track area and the dust shoes that get assembled here. So you can see the raw ones get printed down here. And then we have completed boxes over there. We have strips of bristle and all this other stuff that gets cut to size. We got like the inductive sensor kits. We've got control boxes. We've got testing areas for the control boxes. You can see some of the assembled ones here. And we've got even more stuff as we come over here. We like to name all the areas. So this area is called the wire because that's where we do all the electronics. So over here you can see we've got way more stations. This is for a lot of laser assembly. You can see assembled laser modules over here and full boxes here. And those go all the way down the line where we do basically everything you guys see that comes in a box. It gets assembled in this building. So anything that you're seeing, even like, I'll be showing you later on, even little bits of like hardware, like bolts and nuts and stuff like that, we are weighing those out and putting them in bags and shipping them out to you. And just for a quick sneak preview, we've also got our lunchroom, which we're currently prepping for Thanksgiving dining.
Welcome to our crib. It's a little messy right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always really messy.
It's always kind of messy, yeah. So we'll come through over here. And that's our safety board. And then over here, we do a lot more engineering work. So this is Johan and Daniel, and they do a lot of stuff themselves. Daniel's working on a really cool cut out of aluminum right now. It's a pretty crazy tree. And we're doing some like stepper motor driver testing and some other electronics testing for stuff that you'll see probably maybe soon. We also have like open desks here because we have actually a notable number of people on our team that work from home for the most part. They still work in the area, like within like a 2-hour radius of us. But we have empty desks that we leave for them. So if they want to come in or they want to use the machine for doing like learning how to use it, or they want to be doing testing or something like that, or they just want to see other people, they can come in and do their stuff. This desk here is like normally reserved for Akena, where he is the lead on developing everything related to the laser beam. He does a lot of the mechanical prototyping and iteration, the electronics, the documentation, and all the customer support for it. I guess, is Akena not coming in?
Yeah, I think usually he's kind of a floater. He kind of works from home and from the office. So yeah, he doesn't have like a set schedule or anything. But I can like share some stuff that we've got right now.
Yeah.
So right now the laser beam's in its first iteration, but we're working on the second iteration, which is basically the same as the first iteration, but there's a couple things that are new. The first is the heatsink. Here, it's almost the same as the old heatsink, but we have a new system to mount the diodes so they get better cooling and it's easier to manufacture. And we're also adding T-slot into the extrusion heatsink itself so that people can mount accessories, air assists, and also use it for other machines and things like that. So that's going to be really cool. The other thing that's more internal, but I guess I can share, is the drivers are staying the same. They have the base driving design, but the diodes are changing. So I don't, if anyone knows like the Nichia drivers, those are like considered the highest power lasers on the market for diodes. But because the supply for them is low, there's a new diode that's coming out that's even more powerful than the Nichia ones. And so we're phasing into the new version. I think the ones that are shipping now, some of them will have the new ones. They're still the same power, but they kind of were just experimenting with seeing how far they can go and stuff like that. So with the new heatsink to design, the new diode, the new everything, it'll be a pretty cool little bump in specs, I think. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
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 Cool.
Well, if Kenna's here later, then we can talk to him.
Yeah.
But he's a late riser, I think, sometimes. I don't know. I usually don't get a response from him unless until after 11 or something.
Yeah, and then you send him messages at 7 p.m. and he's like, "Oh yeah, no problem. I'll respond to you."
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Cool.
Well, that's that.
Yeah. We'll move on to the section out here, which is more office area. You can see we kind of have assorted tools scattered about because, for instance, the guys here like to prototype some stuff for, if you're trying out new work holding ideas, or if you're trying out to those scrapers that you saw on the printers for pushing parts off. Those are stuff that we made internally, and so that's stuff that we like to prototype out here. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, but I'll point in this direction first. These guys are the customer service guys. This is Kelsey and Jason.
Hello.
Hello. They do all of the phone stuff, the email stuff. Well, not all of the email stuff, but a lot of the email stuff, the ticketing and whatnot. I don't know. Do you guys want to say anything about what you do?
No, we just try to help everyone out to as best as we can with all their issues. So.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you very much. That's right. The sailman can use some.
Yeah, you can see even over here we got 3D printers and other sort of storage and space and stuff like that. We kind of like when people on the team are able to use the machine itself, because these guys are very knowledgeable about the CNC, because we want them to be able to help you guys out as best as they can with it. So they know probably just as much as Andy and I know about it. We try to give them everything, and then they also have experimented even more. I would say at this point, Jay probably can troubleshoot way better than I can, because he goes through so many tickets every day.
Well, thank you. But I'm not so sure, but yeah.
He has his own machine at home, and they work with the long mill all the time as well, so they're pretty knowledgeable about it. Over here we got Patrick. We missed him earlier, but he does the packing management. Scarborough boy.
Hope you're enjoying our crib tour. Being a senior employee here, 3 years.
You were in the last video, right?
No, he wasn't in the last video.
No. Me and Kenna left.
Near the end of the day.
Yeah. Me and Kenna used to come in early.
Oh.
Earlier, so we left earlier. Yeah.
The only other people that was in the video was
John
and Kelly.
Yeah.
And then Andy left halfway through. Yeah. Over here we got the quality control team. This is Mike and John. I was gonna talk to John, and we'll talk to both of them because they know so much about. These guys have been pretty instrumental in being part of the team of as we're setting up the stations to perform better for our packing team and hit higher levels of quality as parts come in and before we ship them out. These guys have been kind of on top of all of that stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna talk to John first. They're both a bit camera shy. But yeah, John, I guess I was just gonna ask you about I know you guys are setting up the new tablet system, the stuff that you've been setting up for checking parts as they come in, the new drawing system. You can just talk about whatever you want to talk about. Feel free to be a nerd about it.
Yeah, so we're the quality control guys. Basically, we try to make sure that the parts you order are the parts that you get. We check everything to make sure that it's up to spec and set the spec sort of thing. And then also trying to optimize how the process works for assembly of all the components and packaging and shipping stuff. Trying to make sure that things are done well,
Yeah. When Andy and I were doing quality control stuff ourselves versus now, we didn't really have very many tools for checking things.
Yeah.
And also the process for packing was at the time, it was, nothing was even written down.
Right.
We were just passing on mental knowledge onto our packers of remember to check this, remember to do this other thing. And then when we got a new packer onto the team, we'd have to teach them that mental knowledge of how to do it as well. And then that sometimes resulted in like, you know, people thinking that someone else knew how to do something and then finding out that they didn't because there was a mistake that was made when shipping machines out or whatever. So like, what's the process looking like now in terms of like carrying that knowledge on?
Yeah, well, we basically, I can show you some example here. We are creating systems so that we have sort of training tools for everyone to easily be able to follow the same procedure without having sort of the word of mouth thing. As the team grows, we've grown quite a bit.
Yeah.
So having like Chris not have to remember everything off the top of the head and remember to talk to this person or this person how to do things, trying to optimize that and have people be able to sort of follow documentation, and they have like iPads and stuff to be able to
Yeah, we're setting up this cool like tablet system. That's one of them where we have like an internal site that we're putting those tablets at the different stations, and then as people are going through with the parts, they can make the necessary checks that they need, right? And as they make those checks, they can kind of like mark down the results of what they're seeing, and then that kind of gets pushed back into John and Mike so that they can be making sure that like the qualities of the parts are being met, right?
following sort of what our specification is for everything.
Right.
Having some statistical analysis of like, are these rails changing in measurements? Are the manufacturers following what we send them? Are we able to ship exactly what we say we ship, you know?
Yeah, yeah. There have been like some pretty tricky ones over the years. I mean, I'm sure if you guys have been long-term customers, you've kind of seen us experiencing that firsthand. Probably the hardest ones is like V-wheels and how they're compatible with the rails, and getting that fit exactly right. Because there's a lot of stuff that factors in there, and it's surprisingly tricky to make a machine as simple as possible, but that's still adaptable to, like, if we want to give the machine out to you guys to a good price, we can't just like hand it off to anyone and then they'll just like stamp some stuff out and it'll work. You know what I mean? Like, if you're paying low dollar for parts to be made, then everything's sloppy. But if everything's sloppy, then how can we make a CNC that fits tightly together, right? And so that's probably one of the biggest ones we've had to deal with. There's also like smaller ones, like, I don't know if you guys would think about it, but like the feet, all of the feet along the Y rails when they get bolted down, we have to have a way of making sure that those all end up being a similar height and also like 90 degrees when they're bent, for instance. What's any other tricky ones?
Well, lately we've been dealing with like lead screws, trying to make sure they're consistent.
Oh yeah, that's what this guy here is for, right?
So like basically trying to make sure there's not wobble in the lead screw, that the threads are consistent along, so your gantries like actually are at the position that they're supposed to be at.
Mm-hmm. Early on, we kind of were just like rolling them along a table to kind of see, are they wobbling a whole lot or like a detectable amount? Not just a basic table, mind you, like, you know, a surface table.
This is a fancy big rock, yeah.
It is a big rock, yeah. Yeah, and I think like there's some other checks that we're introducing in over time and like changes that we're making to how we make the drawings so that we can kind of, one of the other problems that we ran into was like we would have a lot of situations where we would make drawings that we thought were pretty straightforward and we hand it off to the manufacturer, and then because of like some like miscommunications that can sometimes happen, they would have like an older version of the drawing that wouldn't have the changes that we'd made, and then they'd make it and then we'd be like, oh no, this doesn't work. So even like simple things that you would think wouldn't be a problem, like versioning or like how clear the drawing is made so that they can understand what we want from them, is stuff that we've been also refining over time as well, so that we can make sure that that communication is very clear between us and the manufacturers. But at the end of the day, what is really cool is that most of the manufacturers we work with are local to us. So when problems happen, we can kind of turn that around pretty easily. There's not a whole lot of stuff that we custom manufacture overseas. Most of the stuff we get overseas is standard parts. Oh yeah, this is Maya. She's like one of the shop dogs. You remember Louis from the last video? Oh, look at that. He's a little bit camera shy. We still have lots of dogs, because if anyone has a dog, we'd let them bring it into work and around the office. Yeah. Okay, well, I think that's probably enough talking about stuff with you, John. Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike's going to come walk with us and show us other stuff.
Yeah, give you a tour of production and what we've been working on how to improve processes and whatnot.
Yeah, mine is Mike's
come
dog.
with as well.
Yeah. She's scared of the camera, I think.
Yeah, she's also camera shy.
Yeah. So yeah, we're just gonna walk down this way and show you another one of the rows, and Mike can talk about all the crazy stuff that they've been setting up for the stations. The stations are like way cooler than they used to be, because before we had just like little like handguns with hex drives, and you're like driving in all the Allen head bolts and stuff like that. But nowadays we have like way cooler setups.
So now we're working towards proper production.
Yeah.
I'll give you a quick tour. Here we've got hardware packing. It's just assembling all the hardware bags, making sure everything's up to count and everything's in the proper order. Not too much to say there. Here we have our gantry assembly stations. So you'll see that your X and Z gantries are pre-assembled. This is where they're not plugged in, but we've made jigs to improve efficiency on. He's got the process down. We've made jigs to improve efficiency on how quickly they can assemble the gantries and make sure that they're all coming out straight as they should be. So here we can have up to 2 people assembling at the same time. Here, just more production stuff, opening up, reaming out holes that need to be cleaned up, opening holes, just standard drill press stuff. We can continue on.
Yeah.
This is our rail cleaning and assembly kind of section. Once the rails have been cut and processed, they'll come here to be cleaned. Cleaned, remove of any burrs, make sure that they're all ready to be on a machine.
What we'll show right after this, the reason why we're doing all the deburring and whatnot is because we cut these rails in-house. And we're going to be showing you the machine that actually does that. It's in this building. So that's why we do the cleaning and the deburring. I'll also point out real quick, because Mike is being a little bit modest, I think, about some of the stuff they put into place. Like some of these stations that they have over here, they're like way better setup than the way we had them before. For instance, when we're assembling the gantries with the linear rails, that used to be kind of like a all by feel process. And we'll show some footage of like these jigs that they've made, which allow them to kind of place everything in, tighten it all down, and make a very reliable way of assembling them. Which is like way better than you could ever do at home, which is why we like doing them here, because it saves you guys time, and we want to make sure the assembly process for you guys is as straightforward as possible. Even things like the top facing drills that come down, or the reaming drills that are over here, or anything like that, it's way faster and more effective than what we had set up before. It's easier for our packers. We've got like torque values set for all the bolts as they're going in, so it makes sure that everything goes in reliably. I just want to he's done way more than just stations and stations. Yeah.
Vanessa's cleaning up some rails, taking off burrs, making sure that they're all straight and that they're all adequate for the machines.
You can see on the back there all the gantry assemblies that we have together as well.
Should we go to the back?
Yeah, let's go to the back. Oh, Andy's on the grill out there. We're gonna go to the back. You wanna come? Yeah, so if you remember last time, this is like the new area that we were getting. It's turned into a full-on so let me turn the lights on in here. Ta-da! Prototyping shop area. But we're gonna skip that for now and show you our even further back area.
Yeah, first big thing.
Forklift. Job saw.
Yeah.
Table saw. Some other interesting stuff that you guys might notice in the sidelines that we're prototyping. Yeah, we'll fully move into this area over here. Come along, Andy. Come along.
We've pretty much taken up in-house the processing of the rails. So we'll get these rails in full lengths, as we see from the back over there.
Yeah.
Full length rail will come in from the extrusion facility, and then from there we'll process them in the lengths that we need for the machines that we want to ship out. We'll cut them on the saws, make sure that everything's at the right length and all the edges are nice and square. From there, we can put them here on our tapping cart, which is where we make all the threads for the gantries to be drilled into. This is another one of our
This is for
quick
chamfering.
inventions. Yeah, chamfering. We've got a couple, taps for making the threads themselves, and then once all the holes are threaded properly, we'll bring them inside for packaging.
Where's the quad tapper?
The quad tapper's on the other side, getting a bit of maintenance done on it.
Oh, we should show them the quad tapper too.
Yeah.
That thing's pretty cool.
Yeah. Things to improve processes.
Yeah. Well, basically, just to explain, like, we used to get all this stuff done, even with the old rails, all the machining and tapping and all that stuff was done out of house. Actually, Andy, you should be talking about this because you're the one that decided to do this.
Yeah, so like Chris was saying, we used to do, when we did the angle aluminum, which was this stuff, I don't know, you guys will probably remember this generation of rails. We would buy this standard stock and then cut, drill, and tap them out of, like, we would get a machine shop to do this. And that was fine. At some point, we had to custom extrude these, like, to a new profile, basically. Like, same shape, but, like, custom die and everything, and then precision press, because the tolerances were kind of wacky when you do a lot of off-the-shelf stuff, and then we had to throw a lot of rails out. And then after that, we were like, okay, well, at this point, we might as well just make our own rails. And we're kind of getting to the volume where it made sense. So that's how we came up with making the custom extrusions. Throughout that process, we had to do the cutting and tapping for those. We can do them out of house the same as we did this, but we were going to be paying, like, I don't know, maybe like 30,000-ish. Was it 30,000? I can't remember.
For a batch?
Yeah, for about a batch, in which we go through a batch probably like every 2.5 months, 3 months. So we were like, okay, well, why don't we just buy our own saw? And so that's basically what we did. Me and Mike went shopping for saws, and they were kind of in like the $15,000 range with a lot of doodads and whatnot. And I was like, okay, if we're saving, $30,000 a batch, after a batch or two will be paid off. However, on Kijiji, which is like Craigslist of Canada or Ontario, someone was selling this saw over here, if you want to show that, for I think $1,600. Another CNC shop that kind of made CNC machines as well, but they're kind of like shutting things down. So we're like, okay, we'll take it. So we got this over here from Barry. We set up you guys set up the, what do you call it? The roller thing. Yeah. And then it even came with the DRO, so they can set the length of it. And we had to wire in 220 volts to run the saw and some air and things like that. But it's paid itself off pretty quickly. So that I'm happy with. And the cut consistency and the cut tolerances are pretty good too. Well, thanks to Michael. Basically, all credit goes to Michael. But yeah, that's saved us a lot of costs, and we can control how quickly we get our stuff. Because usually the extrusion takes a couple weeks, and then a couple of weeks for the processing. But since we're doing it in house, we don't have to wait for all that stuff to get done. We can ship stuff as soon as we cut things. Mm-hmm. That's been really handy to kind of keep the flow going. And yeah, that's basically it. We have the Kentucky gauge. Mm-hmm. That's pretty fun. So you can measure out different sizes more accurately. We got the central vac for like houses for $20. Yeah. Then we have an olive barrel with a separator and all the tubes and stuff. That was probably like $80 all together. So that was a pretty good. I think the hoses were like the most expensive part. Yeah. But yeah, that works okay, I think.
Yeah, I'll show you guys over here. Like we basically just grab the stuff, bring it on the input roller. You can see offcuts here of like the Y rails we're cutting to length, because when they get chopped from the plant, we can't get them chopped exactly because we want some excess. So we get them as close as we can. And yeah, they run through and the machine like holds it in place, and we size it out. And then when the cuts come off, You can see there's like sizing for the 30 by 30 and for the 12 by 30, these shorter lengths here. And then we do, the tapping and stuff over there, and then we bring them inside and do the cleaning and the deburring and stuff like that. So one of the great things about the new extrusion design, which I talked about a little bit when we were doing a bit of like a FAQ video for the Mark II, is like it's been designed so that the rails can be stacked pretty closely together, but they've got built-in knurling so that they don't scratch up on each other quite as much. And that means that in the past, where we were having to actually buff out the rails, the L-shaped rails, because they would get scratched up and we wanted them to look nice when we shipped them out. These ones, for the most part, we don't really have to buff them up. We just do a bit of a cleaning and a bit of a chamfering, and then we can ship them out to you. And the other nice thing is, because the old rails had holes that were tapped at certain points along the length, some manufacturers, if they messed up, the holes would be in the wrong spot, and now you can't assemble your machine. But the nice thing about these, they use the T-slot along the length, and then they're only tapped on the ends. And then something that I did talk about in the assembly video as well is that like the way that the tapping is set up is like, it's very reliable that you can get bolt-ins for the feet almost every time. And so that's pretty easy to do in-house as well. Is there anything else to talk about? Yeah, so that's this whole section basically. Outside of that, I think that's most of the building. It's obviously much, much bigger than it was the last time we were kind of showing you guys around. And at the time, I think our team was about 6 or 7 people. It's hard for me to remember exactly, but now we have like 30 people. So a lot has changed in just the last 2 years. You can see like by the sizings of all the different areas that we've kind of had to allocate more space to all the different things that we're having to do nowadays, because we've got more people who are doing more things, and we're shipping more machines, and we're doing better quality control and all this other stuff. So yeah, I can do like a quick walkthrough of the space back here, but you can see this is basically the fun spot set up for all of the engineers or prototyping people on the team. And even the people that, I was talking earlier about the customer service guys and some of even the packers, we have them using the machine so that they get accustomed to using it, and they know when they're packing, like these are the parts of the machine that we're packing. So it's cool to have everyone on the team, or within the company, I should say, like knowledgeable on how the machine works. So they use this space as well too. So you can see we've got various tools. We've got like laser testing station, electronics station. We've got some manual tools here for prototyping. Daniel's working on a video right now showing some aluminum cutting. You can see how much has been cut already. Various tools to make sure that people can kind of like prototype things more easily. This is like a 48 by 30 that you can see here for the Mark II that we're doing some testing on for some new potential drivers. This is from the blog post where Andy was showing off equipping the spindle. So, and if you're wondering, the machine that I showed off in the video way back when, that was in the back corner, like this is still like the dedicated, it's the same concept. It's like a dedicated machine that we try to modify as little as possible. And when we do, we try to conserve the parts over to the next machine, because it's like our dedicated space for stress testing the machine, essentially. And this is also the machine that anyone on our team runs if they're wanting to run a project. And some of the other people that you might have seen or might have not seen in the video, they're coming through and they're using this machine as well. And we use it for videos occasionally and stuff too.
We could show them the paper shredder.
Oh yeah, true.
That's my favorite thing.
Oh yeah, we didn't have that in the previous video. That's true.
I need a cardboard.
Oh, I should show them the Yes Happy real quick, actually, because that's pretty cool. This is what we call the Yes Happy. I'll leave it up to you to decide where that name came from. Put your theories in the comments. But this is like a pretty neat machine, actually. We kind of set it up for dedicated aluminum prototyping. And it kind of goes to show when you make a really small version of the long mill. And the other thing that we did actually was we slightly modified the Z-axis here to hold some more mounts on it and whatnot. But outside of these modifications, everything else is still stock. And we just stick aluminum blocks in here and it just cuts stuff out for us. So I think, was this cut on the machine? I think it might have been this vise. And there's a lot of other stuff that was actually over in the engineering area that Daniel and the other guys on the team have cut out on the machine as well. Because, you know, CNC is so fast and easy. Even though we've got the mill set up, you know, it's much easier just to like stick something on here and have it cut it out for you, right? So you'll see some of that stuff later. Yeah, let's go check out on the box cutting machine.
I stole a box.
This is something that like Andy, well, we never got to show off on the last video, even though.
No, we didn't have this.
Did we?
We got this like.
I think we got
quite
it like,
recently.
No, we got it like pretty. I thought we got it pretty soon after we made that video.
I don't know. But regardless,
Yeah.
this is our Profi Pack C400. The reason why we don't have to buy bubble wrap anymore because you just make bubble wrap from cardboard. So we use it for like I think it needs some oil. Yeah, we just use it for packaging. So sometimes if you get like a thingy in your box and you see this stuff, it's because we're shredding up cardboard so you don't have to buy bubble wrap. Yeah, save the environment or something.
Yeah. Well, it is a good point. Like, I think I brought it up before in maybe some other videos, but like we do try our best to, like, we don't tend to prefer using plastic unless we need to, or foam or anything like that. This is like one of those really cool ways where we're always importing stuff, you know, whether it be from the local suppliers or elsewhere, and you know they're always arriving in boxes. And so we're able to basically take those boxes, process them back into packaging, and then use that to pack the long mills that we send out. So it's like a pretty cool system. If I like, you know, reduce, reuse, recycle. If you can't reduce it, then you try to reuse it. And then if you can't reuse it, then you try to recycle it. So it's all good stuff. Yeah, and you'll probably see that in like some other parts of our packaging as well, where it's like, trying to pad it out with cardboard or use a cardboard where we need to, so that, because cardboard is like much more reusable and recyclable than other materials are. What were you gonna say?
Oh, there's the alt mill and the laser.
Oh yeah. I guess I didn't show this off too. Well, you can't really see the alt mill. It's underneath all this stuff. But we use this laser all the time. This is our in-house CO2 laser, and if you like the acrylic that's on the control boxes or the acrylic that's used for the dust shoes, just any of those like clear plastic pieces is the stuff that we cut inside here. So this is like a dedicated sort of manufacturing station for doing that sort of stuff. I'm gonna close it up because it's a bit smelly. But over time we've been able to kind of like set this up with like all the necessary like filtering and stuff like that and shoot it outside. After it's all been filtered. Yeah, I guess one of the really cool things is that as we've kind of gone from in the earlier days having just one or two tables that we're constantly having to like swap out what those tables are used for because we don't have the space to do dedicated tasks. Nowadays we can do that, which is very, very helpful because we can kind of build these stations so that they have shelving and racking to hold all the tools needed. One of the things that John didn't mention is those iPads actually also store information on doing the steps. He showed them to you on his computer. Those actually show up on the tablets. So they can go through the tablet, they can see what the steps are that they need to do, and they can also fill out information on what they're doing. People get kind of trained on doing specific things, so not all packers know how to do all things. But what's nice about that is we won't usually specialize them into one task. It'll be a couple tasks. And then that way they can kind of like do things as we need things done. So whether you do the extrusion cutting or you run the laser or you assemble the gantries or you help to clean up the 3D prints or you run the main packaging of the machines. Those are all kind of like specialties that the packers can take on. Oh, again. Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. I hope you guys didn't get lost. I think one of the parts that I might not have shown off was actually a real quick look down the center aisle here. We kind of went around the one side and back up the other side. This is like the most open spot because this allows us to go in and access all of the pallet racking from either side. And it's a neat layout. The floor plan that we designed for this place is try to optimize it as best we can. It's not the biggest space, considering how many machines we put through. But little things like having pathways like this where you can kind of bring in stuff on pallets from the inside, and then packing stations on the outside can grab things as they need them. Help us to use the space as effectively as we possibly can. At the end of the day, we kind of that's like the whole space. We got this whole main area here. We got the office area back there with the dining room, or no, the rec room, or whatever it's called. And then we've got the prototyping back there and the garage past that. So I guess we'll just walk out and finish up. Yeah, it's pretty cool to be showing you guys around the new stuff that's been happening in the office. I mean, stuff that's going on at the company is always changing. To be honest, like, we've got this space on its own is already not big enough. We actually have shipping containers in the backside of the parking lot. We'll probably show some footage of that. And those are all completely full. I think we have 3 of them there. And so this entire building on its own with the add-on garage and the shipping containers in the back, it's still not enough space. We've managed to fill it all within the last 2 years. So it's pretty cool to have that growth happening. It's, I mean, especially for Andy and I, because I mean, it wasn't long, well, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago. It was kind of a long time ago that we were just in a garage, in a house.
Yeah. 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, where we were just like, me and Andy were doing all the packing ourselves, and doing all the customer service and doing all the website stuff and all that other sort of stuff. So it's cool that we have other people on the team helping out. It would have been cool to show you guys like some of the G-Sender team, but they all work remotely.
Hi, my name is Kevin. I'm the lead developer here at Sienci Labs.
Hi, I'm Walid. I'm a software developer here at Sienci Labs.
Hi, I'm Sophia, and I'm a software developer at Sienci Labs.
Hi, I'm Swagat. I'm a software developer at Sienci Labs.
But yeah, outside of that, I think that's most of what we got going on here. And these double doors here, we don't even have like a loading dock. These double doors is where all of the raw material comes in and where all the long mills come out of. It's a very interesting setup, but I think it's, I hope you guys enjoy seeing kind of the sort of insight on what we're doing here. And if you have any other questions, we can try to follow up on it in the comments of the video. And otherwise, it's been good seeing you.